Jessica Sanchez. I'm the in-house general counsel for the Tempe Union High School District. Today I'm going to talk to you about your obligations to report suspected child abuse. This is a state requirement and it's governing board policy. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into this presentation. As a school district employee, you have a general obligation to support any kind of suspected crime that occurs on the campus. Remember that it's everyone's job to keep the school and the district safe. So if something doesn't seem right, go ahead and report it to someone. It's not just a good idea, again, it's the law. I'm showing you a slide right now of just a few of the Arizona laws that cover this general obligation to report. If you see a weapon on campus, if you see illegal drugs, if you become aware of any kind of dangerous situation or anything that poses a threat to the safety of the kids or staff, or any serious crime like a murder, assault, sexual assault, robbery, any kind of sexual crime against children, you need to make sure that you report that not only to your principal, but to the campus's SRO. So just a tip, when it comes to the safety of your students, staff, and campus, remember, don't keep it to yourself. If you suspect any kind of criminal activity, you're going to want to make sure you let the school resource officer know. Again, what are you going to lose by reporting, and what are you going to risk if you do nothing? And with that thing, we're going to go right into your obligation to report suspected child abuse. We train staff on this obligation every school year. This comes from Arizona Revised Statutes 133620. So let's talk first about who has a duty to report. The statute specifies all school personnel, so that's any paid personnel or any volunteer personnel. So it's not just the nurse or the principal, it's really everyone. Principals, teachers, nurses, cafeteria workers, secretaries, paraprofessionals, coaches, bus drivers, custodians, psychologists, anybody who's working or volunteering for the school has this obligation. What is it that you have to report? You need to report anytime you reasonably suspect that a minor is or has been the victim of physical injury, abuse, child abuse, or reportable offense or neglect. You need to make sure that you report that information to the police officer. And we're especially concerned about non-accidental injuries to minors. So anytime a minor is intentionally harmed by another person, you need to make a report to DCS or to the SRO. Let's talk a little bit more about what we mean by these various obligations. Again, you have to report intentional, non-accidental physical injury to any minor, and that can be any kind of injury. Bruises, sores, bleeding, failure to thrive, malnutrition, dehydration, burns, fractures, injuries to internal organs. The injury does not have to be serious or life-threatening to be reportable. Again, you need to report any intentional physical injury that is inflicted upon the minor. Even if it's not a serious injury, if it was intentional, it needs to be reported. Whether that injury was inflicted by a parent, a school employee, a stranger, even if the injury is inflicted by another minor, even if the injury is inflicted by an adult or a minor who lacks the cognitive ability to understand right from wrong. The whole point is that if a minor is intentionally physical injured, you need to make a report. And we'll talk about who you report to later on in this presentation. You also need to report suspected abuse or child abuse. And what do we mean by that? Abuse is the infliction of or allowing any kind of physical injury or impairment of bodily function or disfigurement onto a child. It can be any number of sexually abusive or sexual assaults that might be inflicted upon a minor. It could be allowing a minor to be in or around a vehicle or a structure that's used to manufacture drugs. It could also be the unreasonable confinement of a child. We also have to report reportable offenses. These are really serious crimes. They're just called reportable offenses, but that includes items like indecent exposure, public sexual indecency, sexual abuse, sexual conduct with a minor, child molestation, any kind of, again, sex crime against a child, furnishing harmful items to a child via the internet, child prostitution, incest. Again, any number of sexual crimes need to be reported if they are inflicted upon a minor. Additionally, your obligation to report child abuse not only covers physical injury, reportable offenses, but it also includes neglect. Neglect is the inability or unwillingness of a parent or a guardian to provide a child with supervision, food, clothing, shelter, or medical care if that denial causes an unreasonable risk of harm to that child or the child's welfare. Look at the totality of the circumstances. If you think that a child is being neglected, go ahead and err on the side of making a report. If it feels wrong to you, just go ahead and make a report. So again, don't get hung up on definitions. If you suspect that a child is being harmed in any kind of physical, sexual, or neglectful manner, you need to make a report to DCS or to your local law enforcement agency, which here at the Tempe Union High School District is really the SROs. Again, what do you have to lose by making a report, and what do you risk if you do nothing? So let's talk about some of those pros and cons. First, let's talk about the penalty for not reporting. If you are aware of a child who's being harmed and you don't report this, there is a penalty for not reporting suspected child abuse. Failure to report could mean a fine of up to $4,000 to $150,000. It could mean prison time. It could also mean the loss of your job. So there are big penalties for knowing about child abuse and not reporting it. Many people ask, can I get in trouble for making a report? And the answer is very simple, no. We have quite a few statutes who will give immunity to any employee who's making a good faith child abuse report. So long as you're not intentionally lying about a child abuse report, you're gonna be okay. Even if you don't have all the facts, that's fine. Go ahead and make a report. Again, there's really a lot to lose by failing to make a report, and there's really nothing to lose by making a report. Report child abuse anytime you have a reasonable belief to make a report. What do we mean by reasonable? The law and all the guidance is very clear that could mean either you witnessed something firsthand, but it could also be that you got a report from a third party, that you got some kind of hearsay report. The law doesn't want you to investigate. You don't have to check your facts. You just have to report what you know, heard, or saw. Give that report to the police or to DCS, and then they will take it from there and conduct an investigation. Again, you don't have to know all the facts. You don't have to know all the circumstances. You just have to know that something doesn't seem right and make a report. A mandatory reporter, which is all of us under the law, needs to make a report or cause it to be reported as soon as possible. Anytime you have reason to believe that a child is being harmed, you need to make that report immediately. So that could be when you get a break in your day. It could be right then and there. It could be immediately after school, but it needs to happen at least that same day. Please don't wait till the next day to make a report. You can make a report by telephone, in person, or electronically. Remember that a number of you have SROs on your campus, so you can go and talk to the SRO that is directly on your campus. Any type of verbal report should be followed by a written report that includes the name and addresses of the minor or the minors and their parents or custodians, what the injuries are, and any other information that might be helpful. Remember, you don't have to know all of the facts before making a report. Just report what you know. If you suspect that a minor has been the victim of some kind of abuse or physical harm or sexual harm, you need to make that report to the police, again, the SRO on your campus, or to the Department of Child Safety if you suspect that the abuser is somebody in the home. In many cases, we ask that you go ahead and make a report to both agencies. If you don't suspect that the parents or someone in the house is involved, then go ahead and just report to the police. We always think it's a good idea to make sure that the police are involved. I've included in this slide, and you can also get this information from the nurse or from the principal, information about DCS. You can submit a report electronically, or you can make phone calls. You can go down in person, but it really is easier to make a phone call or do this electronically. One other little note, make sure you let the Human Resources Department know if you suspect that the alleged abuser is a teacher, because some additional reports will have to be made to the Department of Education. Again, some general rules to live by. Don't confront the alleged abuser. Don't let anyone just tell you whether or not you should make a report. Remember, it's about you and your individual belief that a child is being harmed. If you suspect that a minor is being harmed, you need to make a report. Don't notify the parents if one or both of them are suspects. Remember, you don't have to know all the answers. You just have to make a report and let DCS and the police do their job. So, in short, report. Thank you very much for your time and attention in this presentation. If you need more information or if you have questions, please feel free to follow up with your school principal or with a district level administrator. They can get back to me about any questions or concerns that you might have. Thank you so much.